Hi, Ben. This is Bart Orth from Spokane, Washington. Hypothetically, if you had an athlete come to you that you didn't know the athletic background or the physical size of, and you knew that one athlete could snatch 250 pounds, one athlete had a 6 minute and 55-second 2,000 meter row, and one athlete could do 20 bar muscle ups in a row, and this athlete was a male athlete in their 40s, and you had to coach only one of them, which athlete would you pick and why? Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Bart. So I would pick the athlete who has the 250-pound snatch. So I'm just imagining the scenario, like I'm standing in a room and like there's like an announcer there and they're like behind door number 1 and they like show like the guy there. Yeah, I think I would probably pick the guy with the 250 snatch. Reason being, I think that's a pretty good proxy. Obviously, they have the strength metrics, and if they can snatch 250 pounds, they probably have the maximal strength in like the absolute strength lifts, like back squat, deadlift, some of those other metrics that will probably be important for the sport. So I think they're probably pretty well rounded, and also shows that they have the positions that are needed. If someone's in their 40s, it's very possible that they're a very good rower and they have terrible T-spine mobility, for example, or, you know, they have no upper back integrity or whatever, right? Like there's just so many things that could potentially go wrong. And I think the snatch as a movement, if you're, especially when it's in like a heavy form, it's not like a light power snatch or something, I think it shows that you don't just have really good strength. You also have probably pretty good coordination to be able to put that together. And you also probably have pretty solid mobility. Like you probably have a good overhead position. You have a full, basically triple flexion of your lower body, like hips, knees, ankles. It's like basically screen for everything, right? So I think that's probably why I would pick that. And 250 is a pretty solid number, especially for somebody in their 40s. So I imagine like there's potential downside for each of these, right? So it's like if you get the 250-pound snatch, pick that door. You could get someone who's, a 230-pound male and they just can't do burpees and toes to bar to save their life. But I think that's also true for any of the other ones. Like if you got the guy who had the 655 2K row, man, I just don't think that's fast enough where it's really putting a pretty hard pressure onto the competition. And I think there's enough other stuff that could go wrong. Like you find out that person's like 6'4" and they have terrible mobility, just bad positions, right? And they're just not going to be any good at the sport if you do that. So I'm not really willing to take that risk. I think if it was like, they were like, he has a 635 2K row, I'd be like, man, okay, maybe. But at 655, I don't think so. The 20 bar muscle ups. Again, I mean, you could just get somebody who was like 5'3" and like 135 pounds. So it's pretty tough to say, and they might only snatch like 160 pounds if they're like super light like that. So they're obviously just never going to get to the point where they can develop the strength. And then I'd also say like it's always easier to develop the conditioning qualities than it is the strength qualities. Like the strength qualities typically take a longer period of time. This person's already in their 40s. They have less basically adaptation. They have plus manipulability that they can take, right? They're not as plastic as they were when they were a teenager. So yeah, I think being able to take somebody who has a really high strength number and being able to start to build more aerobic qualities and more sustainability into their patterns, knowing that they probably have pretty good, decent coordination, pretty good, decent mobility, and obviously good strength, is probably going to be easier than trying to guess or kind of reverse engineer some of the other qualities for the other two athletes. So that's why I picked him.